How did we just lose a king? I growled, my fists pressed against the table as I leaned over it. Everything, every last bit of detail in this coven has been covered over and over again. We both know that Vlad has done nothing to anyone to make me even suspicious that they would want to come take him. Thorn stood behind me, his arms crossed over his chest, bags beneath his eyes. We just have to keep looking. We've been over the territory repeatedly and we can't figure out who it was or how they got out of here. But we're not going to let this go unscathed. We'll figure it out. Anger boiled through me, pulsing through every muscle in my body. You're damn right we're going to find him. And when I get my hands on whoever took my brother, our king, they are going to rue the day they ever messed with this coven. I'll be damned if anybody forces me to hand them over. I stood up, the anger rising in my chest just thinking about it. There isn't a creature or magical being within 1,000 miles that doesn't know what I do to my enemies. And that's why you're respected. Thorn was trying to make me feel better, but it wasn't working. He had been my best friend since we were kids and the leader of the Coven's protective forces. But at a time like that, all I wanted to do was smash some heads together. I wanted revenge. And more than that, I wanted my brother back. Slowly, I looked over at him. My eyes narrowed. I could feel the energy pulsating through me. Obviously not respected enough. I shoved the desk as hard as I could, my magic coursing down my arms and through my fingertips. It bolted out, throwing the desk across the room and against the wall. The wood shattered against the floor, and the dust of my magic shimmered down, flickering lightly before extinguishing against the cold wood floors. It wasn't very often that Thorn was the one with his head screwed on right. He was usually the one with the temper, but both of us couldn't be out of control. It was a good thing he could see that. The door opened, someone poking their head in. Thorn put his hand out and shook his head, letting them know we didn't need any help. I turned away before the door closed back. Stepping back, I collapsed into one of the chairs, rubbing my temples. Thorn took a seat across from me, and I could see that he wanted to say something. Thorn had always been able to read my moods very well, and he knew when I was in one, there was no talking to me. With my brother, though, we didn't have time to lose. Resting his elbows on his knees, he shifted his eyes toward mine. I know that the last thing we need right now is complications. But you've got to consider the fact that it's very likely they had something to do with it. Sitting up, I rested my head against the back of the chair and closed my eyes. The witches have had a truce with them for over 300 years. There's absolutely no reason for them to be involved. Slowly, I opened my eyes and looked over at Thorn. But now that you've said it, I'd have to agree with you. But why? The anger started filtering up inside of me again. Thorn shrugged. Why does anyone decide one day to start an issue? Why does anyone want to know what our plans are? Why haven't we heard from them at all in the last decade? I shot up from my chair, rage building further in my chest. My brother's the king of the witches. He's never been cut out for dangerous situations or the cutthroat world that we live in. I've spent my life looking out for him, guiding him, and doing everything to keep him safe. And now that he's gone, if they did have something to do with it, it will start a war like this world has never seen before. In fact, maybe they have forgotten just how powerful we are. The door flew open and 2 witches walked in, glancing over at Thorn. I looked to him in confusion. What's this? Thorn nervously licked his lips. In my attempt to cover all bases, I already had them looking into the theory. I had them looking for her. Normally, Thorn going outside of his realm of responsibilities would have pissed me off. But at that point, I would have done anything to get my brother back. It didn't matter who we were investigating. Thorn continued at the nod of my head. I figured the best way to find out what was happening was to question her. The one living with the people,